Hello and welcome, I'm the Scrutineer and I am back. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me even at this late hour and on a different day. We couldn't have left it more last minute if I'd really tried, and I kinda did. The race is tomorrow, of course. We're here talking about GPVWC's Superleague, sponsored by WTF1, of course, and shown on their Facebook page as well. So awful lot of viewers, fantastic series, it's getting better and better all year so far. I'm sorry I missed a round or two, but we're back. Here we are, we'll come up to Japan. We've got 4 rounds to go, including tomorrow. Hello everyone that's joining me. It's nice to see 23 of you have followed me. That's nice of you. So hello to, we got Rick, we've got Cameron, we've got Michael, we've got Dennis. I've seen Whoopkey in there. We've seen the Hawkeye team. That's great as well. Nice to see some guys there chatting away. I'm sure the usual suspects. David Carter, hello. Nice to see you all here. You may have noticed that you'll see a few different changes as we go along. I want to get you guys even more involved than before. I know we always have a lot of banter with each other anyway, which is great. I enjoy it. Bring it on. But at the same time, expect it back. We're going to go through an awful lot as we normally do. Yes, you may be getting a lot of glare. Yes, that's because I've got a shiny head. I bought that bowling ball shiner. It went really well, and wax on, wax off, all that kind of thing. Yeah, fantastic. 10 of them are you, Rick. That's great. You can get me in every angle. That's awesome. Keep recording, uploading it, sharing it. Love it. Fantastic. What have we got going on then? So we're going to go through everything as normal. So we've got the car upgrades, we've got engine upgrades, we've got engine choices, driver swaps, tyre choices, loads of stuff going on, and of course all the important opinions. Check Discord. Why am I suddenly checking Discord? Okay. No idea. So it doesn't matter. You're all confusing me already. I've been off for too long. I'm sorry. Don't mean close that. Is that what you're getting at? I don't know. Anyway. We'll go through all the cars, shall we first? Let's start with ACR. I want to get one of you particularly involved later on. I want to go a bit head to head with somebody on knowledge, but may get somebody off the comments later to come up with that, or we might have a bit of a combined you guys maybe all together. So let's start off, shall we, with yeah, the cars. So upgrades. We've got yeah, ACR first off, still leading the standings. We've got I have no idea. We've got top 2 areas obviously complete that most people have liked on weight and diffuser. You'll find that a long way through this. They have brought some extra upgrade to body drag. You can see the little time gain that we think that upgrade this time out has had on the car. Again, theoretical, we'll get to that further on though. So 1 upgrade on that car this time out for the ACR. The Edge on the other hand, which are now only the two teams that can win the title at this stage now, unfortunately. Still makes it a very tight battle all the way through. Again, have maxed out weight and diffuser. They've got 2 upgrades this time out, again to body drags. It's very similar to ACRs in that way, but they've nearly maxed out the front wing downforce now. Haven't done any rear wing downforce. That's the 2 differences between the 2 cars, and it shows you their time gain there as well. They have gained more time with the 2 upgrades than the one that ACR have done there. We'll summarise all the car gains at the end, well, towards the end. So 3rd place now is actually Evolution, not Epic. It's very close there. Again, maxed out weight and diffuser. They brought upgrades to body drag and the front wing downforce, so they've brought the same upgrades as the Edge car ahead of them, but their body drag is very similar, but their front wing downforce is nowhere near as high, but they have done some rear wing downforce instead. So that's the differences there between those 2 cars. Epic. Again, maxed out weight and diffuser, and they have brought effectively done the same thing as ACR this time out and brought body drag 1 upgrade. Means they could potentially bring another one next time out. Shows you their gain as well, very similar to the ACR upgrade difference there, but they have done front wing in the same vein that Edge has, rather than the rear wing that ACR has. Hawkeyes sit there in 4th, at 5th, sorry. What have we got? They are the first team though to max out 3 areas completely. So they've maxed out weight diffuser and now front wing downforce. Sounds a good thing, I'd imagine. They are now they've done a bit of body drag previously, so they haven't carried on doing that. Instead, they've decided to upgrade the rear wing downforce now for the first time, which is why it's only 12%. It does speed up as you progress through an area, which sounds a bit of an odd way of doing it, but that's how it's worked all year so far, so that's why it started off at 12. Nordson though, they're sort of slightly under a revival maybe, but they've got front wing, they've got now diffuser up to 100, so they did use the time to only get 6%. If you've been a follower of previous shows, we've always said that there's a bit of a debate of, do you, because it takes 21 days regardless of how long an upgrade takes, do you effectively waste time, because to actually get 6% is probably only a handful of days, but you can't just do a handful of days. It still takes 21 days for that slot to be used, so you can't use it on another area. So effectively you're saying, I think 6% on diffuser is better than say getting 20% on a different area completely. That's what they've said there. That's what they decided to do. So that's fine. So they've now maxed out diffuser. They haven't maxed out weight, but as I've been saying to most people, once you get to about 94, 95, it's basically maxing out those areas. Most people have not decided to waste 21 days just doing 4 or 5%, but in this case they have. They've also done rear wing rear wing downforce even, which is now nearing that maximum stage. One more development on that will get there. So, you know, pretty good by Nordson. It's definitely caught up a long way since the start of the season. Red Archer have meant this very close midfield. Red Archer currently sitting that top point of that sort of midfield. They had maxed out weight and diffuser. They've got 2 upgrades here on the body drag and the front wing downforce. Very edge about them. Very similar figures to edge as well, actually, if ever so slightly better on the body drag and not quite so good on the front wing. Who should we show next? Oh dear, one technical issue. I'm sorry, the guys that everyone's been waiting for, flag to flag, have disappeared. That's not good, is it? Should we try flag to flag again? After the lovely graphics from Mr. Siebel, of course. They're not showing. How strange. Oh, they're massive, that's why. Okay, let's get them a little smaller, shall we? Come on, mate. I mean, you know, a few weeks worth of prep I've had and I've still not got this right. Who'd have thought it? Anyway, they also have done weight and diffuser very well, so they've got that maximum there. They haven't bought anything else here though, so they've got no time game, but they're, you know, that's presumably because they did it last time. So they've done some front and rear wing previously, but nothing this time out. We then go to eval. They have maxed out diffuser now, so they've got an upgrade there, which brings up there. They've started doing body drag now, so that's why they got 12% on that. So they decided not to try and maximise weight as well, just maximise the diffuser. That gives them the first area that they've maxed out completely in that eval car. Interesting that flag saying they've completely stopped upgrades. Fair enough, I suppose. I mean, at this stage, this is something we could look at. In that 4 rounds to go, you could legitimately stop upgrading, save some cash, save some R&D points. The saving of R&D points is not as useful as it used to be. Many years ago, people used to stockpile points and in fact write off seasons completely by not upgrading at all or for half the year, so they can really go after it the next year and dominate. You can't do that now, in that your R&D points are effectively culled at the end of the year. Yes, you carry some over, but you only carry such a small percentage. Off the top of my head, I think you, for the first, say, 100 R&D points that you have, you carry 50 of them, so you carry 50%. The next 100, so between 100 and 200, you carry like 30%, I think it is, something like that. But once you get to 400, anything above that, you're only actually bringing 5% to next season. So it's actually then more worthwhile to use those R&D points this year, because otherwise you gain, you effectively did the laps, you paid the fees, you got all the tyres and all the fuel to get those points. Say 100 points is roughly a free practice session, and you're only actually going to be able to take 5 points of those over. That's nothing, absolutely nothing. You may as well use it this year in that respect. If it's cash orientated, again, it's still not huge fees we're talking here, and you could get more than that, you know, with a bit. It's so close in that midfield battle that I don't think many people can actually go, yeah, look, we're just going to wait now. unless you messed up finances completely. But to do that, you'd had to swap drivers all year, and WTF1 haven't really done that. So I'd be surprised if they decided to do it. But they are a new team, so they may try something different, do a legitimate strategy that could backfire or could be very good. It would make sense as a new team to go, we're not going to spend all our money, we're going to keep it next year. But I don't think that kind of works actually now. The system doesn't allow for it. One team that has dropped quite far down now, Adonis. Still maxed out the weight and diffuser. They're doing front wing, which they brought here as well, so that's now at 64. They have got a reasonable time gain, I suppose, but they do find themselves quite far down the standings now, as do Storm. After having a storming first round, they're really dropping down the pack now. They have done an upgrade on diffuser, so they've maxed that out now, so they've maxed out weight and diffuser, and they brought an upgrade to front wing downforce, so that did pretty good there. So that car is getting better, it's just not performing, unfortunately. Zurich, a long way down in the standings. They have maxed out weight and diffuser, and they brought 2 upgrades here as well on body drag and the front wing downforce. It's very similar to Edge, other than they've done 1 rear wing downforce upgrade as opposed to putting that on the front wing, basically. So the car itself is by no means need to be this far back. It's very close field now from a car perspective. We're talking very small figures. Madcape still, even though they had a very poor round last time out, still doing well. Not last, I suppose. That's all we can say. They've got weight and diffuser maxed out in the main. Haven't bought anything else here though. So again, could be another team going, you know what, we'll give up for next year. Can you risk that in the position they're in? It would be a bold call. Or they're just upgrading for next round. Who knows? SOS, still at the back of the grid. But they have maxed out the front wing downforce, that they did it very early on. They are catching up the pack, as we'll see in a second, because they are doing weight and diffuser, which they've learnt, but they've learnt way too late. They are getting there. They might get there by the end of the year. They may not even get there at the end of the year. They may have waited that long, but they haven't quite done it. But there you go. We'll glaze over that, shall we, for the time being? Engines, right. So not last time out, but while we were off, I suppose, we did see some upgrades on the Valiant and the Talos units, so they did upgrade. So this time out, the Martex and the Quasar have done. We're talking very small upgrades now, basically because we're sort of using up very small amounts of engine R&D points, whereas as a lot of teams have R&D points hanging about, they don't have engine R&D points hanging about, these manufacturers. It's much more expensive to do anything on the engine, so they are sort of using up their points to whatever they've got and then having to earn them again during the free practice sessions, of which some of these engine manufacturers haven't got an immaculate season of free practice sessions, so they haven't been able to gain all their R&D points, which is why by the end of the year we may see ever so slightly differences in the overall levels, whereas at the moment it's sort of balancing out. Even if it is one race to the next, it is kind of balancing itself out. I think we're starting to see now where it won't do. Wrong graphic. Oi. Fine. Thank you very much, Alex. That's me talking rubbish, using the wrong graphic. That's more like it. There you go. So it's still small units. So Martex, Quasar, but Talos have brought more power. Thank you very much. Bit rusty at this time of night. Have been up a lot of hours. So okay, the point still stands, but just throw Talos in there as well. They've upgraded as well this time out. They've done power though. It brings them more in line with everybody else's power now. So Martex have the most power. Everyone else is just around the 50. And they've also now gone up to 23 in mapping, 30 on the Quasar. Talos now does lag behind on that compared to the Valiant with 34 as well. But they have got the better fuel economy, because they've got 39 there on fuel efficiency, whereas all the others are just about the 20. So you kind of look at that and go, if you just want pure power, you now end up on the Martex for brake horsepower. If you want boost, you now end up over on the Valiant. If you want fuel economy, you end up on you'd rather have the Talos. And I suppose if you want a reasonable mix of all three, you end up with the Quasar. We're kind of where we are at the time being, although most of them aren't very far off each other. You look at actually the Quasar and the Valiant are very, very similar to each other, which is quite good for our title battle, because then that's the top two teams also use each one of those units. In fact, manufacture each one of those units. Of course, those engines, if they are 100%, have those extras. This is where we now see what each team has chosen for their engines. They have a set amount of engine they can use throughout the season. They've got 6. You can buy 2 more. We've seen only a couple of teams have to do it so far. We are getting to that point in the season where some teams will have to. And if they do, it's £1 million fine or cost to get the extra engine per unit. So you have to pay 2 million if you want both units. And you get a back of the grid as well, which sometimes is more costly than the $1 million depending on which track you're at. So we'll go through ACR. This also will find out which drivers are driving where. So ACR sticking with is Capit and Siebel. They've got a 70 unit in Capit's and a 97% in Alex's. Even though Capit has the most races, you see, so that's why his units are a lot lower. Alex, unfortunately, with quite a few disconnection DNFs and stuff, means he did save his engine a bit more. Or early doors crashes, that kind of thing. Still leads a championship, but has the fresher engine units to use compared to his teammate. Edge. We're assuming Jarl and Petter. Jarl being back, they may decide to keep Patel in there. I've not heard any different. All 3 of them have primary contracts, so all 3 of them could drive at any time. But you'd assume they'd go back to these 2, considering they're both up there in the in the title hunt as well. Albeit a little further away than they'd like to be. Again, they've got decent units, 69% units each. We may well start seeing, when you look at some of the other units underneath that they've got left, they've both got another 69% unit. Do you use that for USA, very power hungry track, but then you've still got Brazil coming up, things like that. So I can imagine some of these teams have got to decide at some stage to use fresh engine and take the back of the grid with that. Evolution, I've done these 2 the wrong way around now. Sorry there, Evolution, my mistake, but Dennis Jordan and Janice Bock, both got 70% units as well. It seems to be the mark when you start looking at that. There's 4 teams we've looked for already, most of them around the 70 mark, so that makes sense. That's probably where we should be aiming at, I guess. Anything lower than that, it's going to be missing out a little bit. So, as you can see, Epic, 68 and 67. So, yep, and they've got those sort of engine levels as well, with 69s left for Fournier, that sort of thing. Hawkeye, again 69 and 69. The immature amongst you will be loving it. Nordson have got fresh engines though, so they had a few fresh engines left. They've used unit 6s. So you have to have used all your engine units once at least to be able to order the new ones. You can't just have used 3 units. So now they are using that, so they will then be able to buy new ones if they want to. But they have got engines there where they've got enough engines to complete the season anyway. It just depends if you want the pace advantage potentially. Red Archer, I think somebody who's standing in is Sandeep Choda, from what I hear. He's going to be sitting in that car with 58% engine, and we're kind of guesstimating that Matthew Williams will still sitting there with a 90% unit engine. You can see there they've got quite a lot of units left and things. Unfortunately, due to certain DNFs that some of these teams further down the field have, it does mean they get some nice fresh engines. So it's quite a bit of a difference, and could mix this up towards the end of the year as well. Don't hold me to that if that's not the lineup, but that's pretty close to where I think that's going to end up being, from what I'm hearing. Flag to flag is a massive car again. Why is it always flag to flag? Madness. Looking a bit better. Let's get your names on the board. I know you're in the chat. Let's get you looking the part. So we've got Michael Ayres and Mark Hutchinson. We think Michael Ayres is back anyway. For good or for bad, depends how you look at it. We've said about his DNF rate on this show before, along with a few other drivers we've said that about. Nonetheless, he did get dropped for a round, but I don't believe that was. I think that was a nice way of putting Cam in the car. But yeah, they got reasonable engines-ish. I mean, Michael Ayres is a little bit on the low side, but won't fail on him particularly, I wouldn't imagine. Not before he DNFs anyway. Oh, you can tell these last few that I've messed up isn't good, is it? Clever planning. Let's sort these out, otherwise it's going to start getting a little embarrassing, isn't it? Eval. We've had to do it this way a little bit, in that they have used a 7th engine as well. So right Kilk and Argo T there. Argo has got a few back of the grid, not back of the grid, 5-place grid penalties, things like that. So we've got 69% engines in there as well. That's what you kind of expect. But they've gone back to Unit 6, whereas Kilk has got that Unit 7 that's also got a 69% engine. Who have we got? Cameron saying Michael is back, of course. He was going to be P6 in Singapore before a crash. Isn't that always the way before your DNF? I was going to be here. Just listen to Flo Guy's interviews after the race. He's going to win every round if it wasn't for this. Adonis. This is another one. I'm hearing Jonathan Holmes has been put in the car with Yuri Kasdorp, which is interesting move. It's nice to see Jonathan back after driving. He drove Super Cup. Was it last year or the year before? 16 maybe. Anyway, and he's been off doing an awful lot. He does you know, arcade sims, rallying, that kind of stuff. Very high level stuff as well for that. Did come back and do the academy race, the ICMOS ACR Academy. That was last week at this circuit in the Formula Challenge cars, granted, but he won that round. So that's interesting. So we'll see how he does there. I'm hearing though this is a drive for the rest of the season now. So, and it's, from what I've heard, this is a management decision, and due to F1 DNF rate, out the car. It's a very close battle in this midfield. It's very tight. The level has been upped. We've seen that from people like Madcave and stuff, bringing in top level drivers, you know, world champions to the back of the grid teams. You know, so I think that's an interesting move. That's a bold move by Adonis. It's a big bold move by Menno as well. Maybe shows that he watches the show. Hello. So that's unfortunately another casualty of the Scrutineer, shall we say? I think that'll go down along with Ben Howell on that one from previously. But we'll see if Jonathan can stack up, if he's still got it or not. Interesting. But I think that's quite an exciting move. Who knows? What do we think in the comments? Exactly. I love it. Everyone's on the right thing. Trying to stay positive, Cameron. Of course. But maybe take a note out of Adonis's book, eh? Just a thought. Storm. Speaking of deciding drivers' decisions and things like that. Storm, and we spoke about Menno doing what he was doing at Adonis, he's also taken himself out of the Storm car. Again, thank you. He listens. He listens to the show. That's another one. I told him to get on the bus with Holder Super Cup. He did exactly the same thing. He actually drove tonight in Super Cup. So great to see Menno still in the league, doing his thing. Great guy. But just the levels have changed now, unfortunately. Super League is right up here, and we really need to be having the best drivers in that. So Bardvos still in that car. The only other person contracted is Kosmala, so we're going to assume he's in that car. We've not heard particularly, but that's kind of what we're assuming. There may be take that with a pinch of salt. But who knows? This is managers getting serious about this league, and it being so close in that midfield that you cannot afford to have a driver who's not scoring you points on a regular basis. Some teams don't understand that, but some teams apparently do. So, you know, if Menno really wanted to drive and he thought he was up to it, he owns his own team. So don't feel that sorry for him. Zurich. So ignore the graphics slightly. Dino Paolini is racing. Whoopke, we didn't know who was replacing him at the time, so we'd left him in. Has been nicely in our comments telling us that Craig Patterson will be in that car. So that's great for him. I think that's his first Super League. It'll be his Super League debut. He's been doing Formula Challenge and Super Cup. I think he did the last 4, maybe 5 rounds in Formula Challenge, and definitely the last 3 or 4 in Super Cup as well. So he's got experience in the league, which is great. He hasn't particularly blown me away in those series though. But ultimately, I suppose it can't do much worse, can we, at the moment? I don't think this car really suited the drivers in this team. It hasn't really worked for them for some reason. The car is good enough. They just haven't had the results with it. Some bad luck at the start of the season. Don't know whether it's being demoralised or what, or it's just not. You know, Missouri is kind of still in the midfield battle, if trouble Missouri potentially. Let's go on to Madcape, shall we? Because I don't really know what this lineup's going to be exactly. We've put Jerome Quirkle in there. I'm not sure if it will be. It might be Dan Brewer again. I know they're sort of swapping seats out, but based on what the contracts are on the system, it looks as though it's going to be Quirkle and Olsen, which is fair enough. Hopefully, they've had a little bit more time to test, particularly around brakes, guys, maybe. But that being said, they were doing very well up to that point. We've had a load of arguments after the race with a load of people going, was their pace legitimately that good, or was it only that good because they made errors in the setup that compromised them and they were never going to finish? The same argument was made about Storm earlier in the year with Liam's pole position. Was that legitimate pace, or was that just because the car wasn't ever set up to finish a race but great for one lap? Anyone could do that. So maybe it's the same idea here, not too sure, but they did do well the round before that, so hopefully they can carry that on and keep. If they start scoring double points, who knows? There could be some great things here. You know, we've all seen how good Jerome is, across many series. So you get him firing on all cylinders, then fair enough. Who am I? You burn me to death for Monaco. You better give them the same treatment. I presume that's for them failing and not knowing what's going on. Their engines didn't blow though, their brakes went, so that still means that Madcape weren't doing a full race simulation, would be my guess, to not find that out. Interesting that for both cars to have done that and nobody else is interesting as well. At least it means they're not sharing setups with someone else. SRS at the back, Franchik's still in the car with Florian Gaia. They've got 80% and 6% unit engines. They have got a lot of other fresh units and things like that going on. So yeah, they made surprises last time out about using a very poor engine when they didn't need to, but I suppose it means they've got loads of fresh units now between now and the end of the season. Fine. Let's hope Franchik can bring results like the one he stood in for rather than the results after that. So, you know, I'd imagine there's a lot of, well, I'd imagine there'd be a lot of pressure on this team. Is Franchik looking for a drive next year? Is that what he's racing for? You know, the team manager's been kicked out of the car, and rightly so, for some very poor results. You know, but you've got to do better than that. You can't just go in the car and do the same thing, because then you just cost the team more money anyway. And Florian, we need to see the Florian of last year. There's nothing of note this year, realistically, that's worth looking at. I think this team will just be wanting to get to the end of the year and make sure that they're here next year. Got to be on the lips of a couple of these teams at the end. Yeah, so that's all sort of driver changes there. You know, we've added a few more people to the Scrutineer curse, maybe, I don't know. Oh, I've got somebody outside. Right, that's better. Yeah, maybe the Scrutineer curse. We've seen Ben, Menno and now F1 go as well, so who else is next up? Who knows? Tyres, we've got 3 different options that have sort of gone on this time. So teams have selected 3 options from the 5 possibles. They have to use 2 within the race, unless of course it rains and you decide to use wet or intermediate tyres. So everyone's got the ultra softs, so they can all qualify in a lovely fresh pair of ultra softs. We've got half the grid with the super softs, which is, well, half the grid with the super softs, which is the Edge, the Norton, Adonis, Red Bull, Epic and Hawkeye. Of those, they've then split that as well, so even if they've got the ultra soft, super softs, 4 of those teams have gone with the soft, so they've gone with 3 softest tyres. So we've got Edge, Norton, Adonis and Red Bull, all with the 3 softest. Epic and Hawkeye, although we've got the 2 softest, have decided to go with the medium tyre as well to be able to do long stints, do not have that soft tyre available to them. The majority of the grid have chosen the ultra soft tyre for qualifying, and then they've chosen the 2 middle tyres, I suppose, the soft and the medium. Nobody selects the hard, so I'm just calling these the harder end of the tyres effectively. I'm going to let the ambulance go past, who's gone to collect somebody. It's all happening here. They've obviously gone to get Mano. So we've got the Ultra Soft, Softs and the Mediums for ACR, Evolution, Red Archer, Flag to Flag, Eval, Storm, Missouric and Mad Cape. So that's an awful lot of them doing that way around. Again, these are subtle differences. We can't quite have everyone doing the same, because they do have to use 2 compounds and not everyone has the same 2 compounds. But it still allows for an awful lot more strategy in this. Although the first stint may be very similar if they all take the Ultra Soft, after that we'll be very interested to see what they do. So should we do a total car development? Yeah. So in time we'll do it, because at this stage it's getting very, very close. We've got Nordstrom is still theoretically, chassis wise, the fastest car. Now again, if you've watched the show before, there's an awful lot of provisos with this. This is round one particular track. This is not the track we're at. This is theoretical, so it's based on the upgrades and the difference that the upgrades makes, not necessarily a lap time that anyone's been on. And yeah, so there's an awful lot to it, and it's just the chassis. Does not include the engine, does not include the engine wear, does not include the tyre choices. All that malarkey is out the window, but it does show how really close it is. So you've got Nordstrom there, you've got ACR just behind with Evolution, Edge, Red Archer, Hawkeye, Epic, Adonis, Missouric, all within 1/10. Wow. Now we already know that sort of engines can make the difference between about 2/10, depending on if you were completely on the wrong engines and that sort of thing. Ooh, sorry there. So there is a bit of a difference to this, and drivers really make the difference at this end of the season. So we've got just outside that 1/10, you're talking Storm and Eval and Mad Cape, and then you talk Flag to Flag a little bit further back, and Street Fighter were probably the biggest gainers in that they were about, a couple of rounds ago they were about 6, nearly 7 tenths behind the top team. Now they're only 3.5 tenths behind. It's a big change though, and actually, you know, drivers really can make the difference, which is why I think we're seeing at this stage of the season some managers really swapping in and out drivers, because it, you know, if you can't, even if you're in the bottom half of that list in the cars, they're that close now that a driver can make the difference, which makes it very appealing for drivers to come in. You can still get into a car and do well. I'd imagine there's, you know, probably quite a lot of interest in that Missouric seat, because that's a decent enough car. You know, there's no excuse for it not to be up there in the right hands. Just look at the Mad Cape doing well in certain people's hands. So we'll see what happens. But it's just to give you a bit of a guide as to what you might expect. I mean, it's not massively away from the standings when you look at it. It just shows you sort of who's under and overachieving, I suppose, maybe. But again, it's only the chassis, so you know, loads of stuff goes in. Otherwise, can go into it, including your strategy and, you know, all the other them deciding what you want to do. Yeah, no comments on that. Right, this is where I want to get you guys involved. So this is sort of the time of the show where I'd normally look and we'll make some predictions together. We've sort of gone through all the tyres, we've gone through all the engine choices, we've gone through all the car upgrades, we've sort of gone through all the driver changes, absolutely everything that's going on there. What that kind of means on track. What's that going to actually mean tomorrow? Craig telling me he has a seat for the rest of the season at Missouric. It's a bold move already. The beauty though of being 4 rounds from the end now means actually sort of anyone who's racing lower series could still finish their series and race Super League, because you're allowed 4 rounds on a reserve contract anyway, while still having your primary further down. So it's quite appealing to the drivers further in. Just be aware, of course, if teams are willing to drop somebody out to put somebody out to try you out, for example yourself, Craig, or in Jonathan Holmes' case, that sort of thing, then they're probably very willing to kick you out as well if you're not performing. Like, you've got to be doing well, otherwise they'll just put somebody else in the car. They've shown that they're happy to do that, so why would they not just do that to yourself? Just be careful, do well, I'm sure you'll be fine. So, I'm looking for a volunteer or two who's happy to make some predictions against me. I'll give you a few seconds in the chat to all hold your hands up and go, I'd love to do it, yes. We may end up doing a combined thing. So we're going to do a few team battles, predictions, who's going to do better than others, basically. Rather than doing a set for success, you know, reason to worry, which we're not going to do. I think it's that close now in the cars that the teams have all sort of set up there. Nobody's made any massive errors in engines. The cars are developing the areas that we have said on this show they should be doing. So they all are catching up. So there's very little difference there. So it's very much down to the drivers, as we were saying. So it's now very much personal opinion. And so this is why I want me versus you guys, the viewers, basically. So let's see what we can do. So first one, and we're going to go down quite a lot of the series here. So we've got a little battle, and it is the battle that is going to probably rage for the next 4 rounds anyway. So yes, good to see. I've got Jordan on, we've got Carter on, we've got Peter on, brilliant. So we've got ACR Zack Speed versus Edge Esports. Now let's be honest, everyone knows where I'm going to go with this. If you don't, you do not know who I am. But on the same basis, where do we think this is going to go? On this particular round we're talking here, not the whole season, just this round, who's going to outscore who, basically? So this is our battle. Yeah. Let's see. I know you're running about 20 seconds behind me, so this may not work fantastically well. And we'll work on this. If this works over the course of the show, we'll bring it back next time out. If not, it can go the way of Celebrity Brain Crash, can't it? But it's worth a try. Come on. So, ACR Zack Speed, Edge Esports, Japan, round 15, Super League. Who's going to have it? Anyone going to put themselves on the line? I want somebody who's going to predict them all. Brilliant. Costa on Edge. He nailed it to the mask. Is saying that ACR and Edge are lower than flag to flag. So we'll get you help. Come on. Cameron, you need to get your driver tested. Quick. He's definitely on something. Jordan going for Edge. Carter ACR. Peter Edge. Fantastic. Loving it. We will hold you to these next time out. That's why I'm getting at. So, brilliant. Mark in there. Lazarus talking Edge. We've got Liam on Edge, no surprise. Don't quite know who Double Downshift is, apologies, but gone with Edge. Fantastic. So that is our first battle that we've been going on with, which is ACR versus Edge. Let's put them up there. Battle number 2. Epic versus Evolution. Third and fourth standings currently. Very, very close. I mean, we're talking very tiny amount of points difference there. But who's coming out on top this particular round in Japan? What's going on? Can we do it? Who do we think? We got both new teams, both getting to that time of the season, whereas we were talking that they might make decisions as to what, but they are still both upgrading. So we'll see. Michael Ayres, I'd beat Alex in real life. Well, might be a good time to mention GPVWC Day. First weekend in December. If you can all make yourselves there, they're doing a karting. So you can get down to Daytona, Milton Keynes, a fantastic circuit, outdoors as well, great karting, very powerful karts, where you can actually prove that you're not just a sim racer, you might actually be able to drive. Who knows? Or proves wrong. We might think you're a terrible sim racer and you might be a brilliant driver, so good work. Look at this, we've got Peter going with Epic, Philippakis Evolution, Siebel Evolution, with the fuel saving Evolution on fire. From Liam, I'm not quite sure whether that means they're going to win or blow up. Michael Ayres going with Evolution, Carter with Evolution. Epic not done well recently. Well, that might be true, but are they due a bounce back? Nothing's changed, the drivers are still there. It wasn't that long ago they were doing well still. Boy, Milan had a great race, where was that, 2 rounds ago? Yeah, but I presume you have a dip in form when you win round 1. If you're not winning every other round after that, you've dipped in form, haven't you, I suppose? But yeah, okay, so it seems a bit of a resounding Epic over Evolution. I would go with Evolution as well on that one, so I probably agree with most of you there. Ooh, I've just covered my own face, that's not good. Let's change that. So, should we keep going? This one's a bit of an interesting one because we've got Hawkeye versus Nordson. So although not that close in the standings, they're still that sort of team that sort of bats around, not quite matching these 4 teams at the top realistically. Although on their day they've got the pace to. So they're sort of there or thereabouts, and arguably they're a lot faster than the rest of the pack below. So this is sort of the midfield battle. Best of the rest, maybe, that they call it in Formula 1, I suppose. Although in our case we've got 4 teams for best of that are the top teams. This season anyway. They're both the 2 long-standing teams, Hawkeye and Nordchen as well. Mainly have stuck by their drivers this year as well. Hawkeye made one, have made a few changes. Nordchen haven't changed theirs at all. I think they're the only team, or nearly the only team to have done that. They're the only team last year to do that. What have we got going on? So people started coming in. Jordan saying Hawkeye, Mark saying Hawkeye, Philip Parker saying Hawkeye. Lovely. Double downshift Hawkeye, Peter Hawkeye. Anyone going with Nordchen? Everyone just going with Hawkeye? Is that because they're in here? Alex, Nordchen 100% engines. Makes a big difference. Can do potentially. Particularly, that Nordchen Martex unit has an awful lot of power, so it can do. David Carter going Nordchen, just to be different probably. Fair enough. So an awful lot of people there heading with Hawkeye. I'm going to go, as a team, I think Hawkeye will do better as an actual team result. But I think Nordchen will probably have the highest individual race result. Read into that what you will. I think it becomes fairly obvious. This one may not fit on the page. This will be interesting. So this one though, when you start looking at the standings as well, look at all these they're up against. So for me, there's a massive battle at the moment in that mid-pack. It's so close all the way up and down. It's changed every round near enough, the whole the standings. So at the moment, Red Archer top that currently. So they're the one to beat. And they're up against potentially Eval, Storm, Adonis and Missouri, and I couldn't even fit Missouri on there. Where do we think this one's going? There's an awful lot of options of course here. So where do we think this one's happening? Again, we don't really know who's driving for a few of these teams as well. Some of them have new lineups. The cars are all very similar. If anything, the Red Archer is a slightly better car on its own. Quite a lot of them use, again, they're all a mix of power. So you've got Red Archer and Storm using the Martex. You've got Adonis using the Talos. You've got Eval using the Valiant. Awful lot there. Oh, I'm flag to flag. Sorry, flag to flag. Yes, Cameron. Disrespect. You stopped upgrading. You're not bothered. Quite happy to come lower down. And you've got Mr. DNF. Missouri can't on the graphic either. It's fine. Missouri, like I said before, Missouri are arguably almost in the next battle. But yeah. And I'm making a prediction though, apart from the flag to flag boys that are just whiners. Is it going to be the revitalising Storm? Is it going to be finally Red Archer's turn? Adonis, Red Archer, Eval. I like the prediction. Thank you very much, Liam. Come on, I know it's not great watching comments come in, I admit. But nonetheless, I'm interested to see your opinions. It's not all just about me. I quite like the look of Adonis for this round, actually. And you know, that sounds probably a little weird, but I want to see how Holmes does. Holmes could be a brilliant key. Yuri as well, on his day, is fantastic. Yeah, like, I mean, a lot of people saying there, Eval, with Dennis Jordan there. Siebel saying Eval as well. Carter saying Eval. Argo Tidare does have some grid penalties, but maybe right kill. It's interesting. Again, I think they're one of those teams where one car could do very well, one won't do quite so well, and I think that's going to be the problem. Like Nordchen, other teams can do better because they've got 2 drivers that are going to score a lot of points. Yeah. Can't count higher than 3. Well, you need to. You'd finish it lower than 3. So let's give it a middle pack, shall we? Because that's quite a lot of things. And then finally, the last one. Mad Kate versus Red Bull. We've been saying it quite a lot all year, and potentially might have big repercussions at the end of the year. But for this round, where do we see this going? Now, there is a car advantage to Madcape now, which is fair enough. They both use the same engines, so there's no advantage between the two cars there. So, and in fact, the wear was very similar as well. So it is very much down to Boy Milan, also saying Red Archer for the other one. Yeah, it's very much down to the drivers and that slight, probably, you know, what we're saying, 2 temps advantage, 1.5 temps advantage to Madcape in the car. Felix Van Del, if I beat everyone, Airs and then DNFs. I know there is a few like that. We need to probably get a few of these drivers in a chat together and just let them waffle on for hours. A bit like me chatting here. Just chat rubbish for hours, it's great. Gets a lot off your chest, guys. Give it a go. Quirker will beat both. Madcape every day of the week now. Madcape, I think. How times have changed, guys. Do you remember berating Remember back at the start of the season when we were berating Madcape for doing front wing dirty air? Remember that? And like, what has this team suddenly changed around, and we're now kind of talking about them being able to catch up and pass Missouri. It could even happen this round potentially. You know, load and car and driver advantage. Very true. It's mad. This is Madcape, who had the worst car on the grid. They had, you know, arguably very poor results. They were looking like they were going to do a green stripes arguably this year. You've got a team sponsored by Red Bull with a race winner in their books at the start of the season, and he's still there now. Whereas, you know, Madcape were nowhere near looking like that kind of team. Now we're here going, hey, Madcape are going to smash them. I agree that, you know, Madcape looked like they're on the up, and because they made changes, the management saw it wasn't working. Granted, probably too late, but they saw it wasn't working. They made changes partway through the year where they changed the development route based kind of on what we were saying, like other teams did as well. Madcape did that and put that car back into contention. Red Bull waited way too late on that. But bringing in people like Jerome, it does bring up and, you know, mitigates that car disadvantage even to the top teams. I don't think them being like him being up in third last time was because of a setup thing. Maybe a small element to that, but to me, he wasn't like he was up there in basically second. He was fighting away for that, and arguably the win if it was really depending on strategy and stuff. So, you know, you don't get that just from luck. And he's been in the car a few times now, getting more familiar with it. I think Madcape could be on a good run for the last 4 rounds. You have a run for 4 rounds with 2 cars scoring points, and not only are you looking at Missouri, you start looking at some of those other teams in that sort of area where you're talking Storm haven't been scoring well. You know, Eval have good rounds every now and again, but then don't have very good rounds at all. So, yeah. Cameron. Just to stop batting on about Ayres overtaking people in Monza. It shouldn't be a big deal that he overtook someone, apparently. But apparently it is. Well done to Ayres, he overtook somebody. Still didn't finish, but yeah. Interestingly though, of course, with all this, you've got to factor in weather. There's a huge factor of weather in that there could be massive rain yet tomorrow. There was big rain tonight on Super Cup. Who says it doesn't happen tomorrow? And throws all this car stuff out the window. Maybe you don't want as much power. Maybe you might as well use a lower rated engine. Norton's got the fresh engines. They might not make any advantage to them if they, you know, if we're in the wet. So yeah. So anyway, ones I was going for there. Obviously going for ACR. We were going with Evolution, Hawkeye. I was going with Adonis in the middle pack that's not there anymore, and Madcape. So they're my ones. Quite a lot of you have been putting stuff in there as well. So yeah. So good to see that you're on there. We'll probably work on a few little graphics for who's put what, and yeah, we'll see who can come up with the best predictions after the race tomorrow, basically. Our race tomorrow is on this channel, on GPVWC, brought to you by simnews.tv, just like this is. Some great commentary team. Jake Sanson is back in the main comms seat tomorrow, so hopefully everyone will come and join us for that, so we've got to watch The race starts 8 PM. Qualifying and the broadcast stream starts around 7:30, and we'll go on for a good couple of hours. Full race distance. All these cars, all these drivers will be there. I will be around on the pit wall as well with my team. I hope to catch a few of you afterwards, things like that. This season is getting tight now. We've got 4 rounds to go. Not only are the cars and drivers and everything so close, the championship itself is really close, not only at the very top, but right down to the bottom as well. There's battles everywhere. No team is safe in their position as they are. Make sure you're watching on Thursday for the Super League. Thank you everybody for joining us. Great job, like people say. Thank you very much to Alex Siebel, not only a fantastic driver leading the standings, also can do graphics and great ones as well for that. Don't think we had to do many shots for mistakes this time. The mistakes were my mistakes, not graphic mistakes by Alex, so fantastic. So great work everybody. Hope you all enjoyed Super Cup tonight. I'm going to have a watch back of it now because I missed little bits of it. And then we've got the race tomorrow, so hopefully join you all there. And you can see me next week for the aftermath, hopefully. If not, we're definitely back in 2 weeks' time for the round 16 from the USA. We'll do this show once again where we will probably try and predict these battles again, see if anything's changed, see if any of you guys have done any good. If anyone's particularly good in the comments, I might even try and get some words from you. So good luck everybody who's racing tomorrow. Enjoy the race. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody that's been on. I've been the Scrutineer for Simnews.tv, and I shall see you another time.